Hello. 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 I am Commander Kalu's mom, aka Naziba Tabassum. I hope you're all nice and healthy and safe and at your home. So since Baishakh was 3 days ago, I initially thought that I would film for Baishakh, but I was so occupied with work. I feel like I have a lot on my plate right now than I have when I wasn't in quarantine. So I didn't really have the time to film before Baishakh. But since we didn't really get to have a proper Baishakh, I feel like every day could be Baishakh. So I did already film one for Baishakh, but I don't think I'm going to be putting that up because I started getting ready at 10 that day and I ended up getting ready by 5, I think. But today we'll try to fasten things up and get it done within at least an hour, even if I talk too much. So let's get started. I have some music playing on in the background. I hope this doesn't get copyrighted. Zoom in a bit. So my eyebrows aren't plucked. I never really plug them. All I do is cover them up with some concealer. So the brush that I'll be using is by this non-branded brand called Zorea. You can easily find this in Amazon or AliExpress. It's a dual-ended brush. One has a spoolie and the other end has an angled brush. There's similar ones from Morphe as well. One from Morphe is the M128. It also has a angle brush and it had a spoolie which came off. This one is much more slimmer than the non-branded one, which is better. So if you can get your hands on this Morphe one, you can, but if you want to save your money, then you can go for the non-branded brush, because I think this came in a set and all of that, and it was probably around 11 brushes or probably more than that, probably 12 pieces, and it costed me only 500 for that set, 500 Bangladeshi Taka. For my brows, I'll be using my good old trusty ABH pomade. I'm in the shade dark brown. I switch between ebony and dark brown, but I feel like dark brown is better because ebony can be a little harsh on my face. Sometimes I just smack on the pomade and then clean it up with concealer. But I make sure that I do not touch the front bit, because if I do, then it's gonna look stark and too unreal. So I end up drawing like a line at the end. And then I slowly fill up as I go inwards. I take my time. When I'm not in a rush, I take my time and I go slow and build up. But when I'm in a rush, I would just go really heavy-handed. Lately have been enjoying BTS a lot. See how I told you that I'm not gonna touch the front bit, because when I'm brushing, I am bringing a little bit of color to the beginning portion. So this is why I do not touch the front bit. Keep it natural. Okay, I'm done with both of the eyebrows. As you can see, they do not look the best, but here's where the best part for me comes, and that's the cleaning. I'm gonna be cleaning my eyebrows, as in like shaping them with some concealer. I use a Tarte Shape Tape. you can actually use even your foundation for this part, but since I use this as my eyeshadow base, I also clean it up with this one. And so I am going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Light Medium, and I'll be using this flat brush by Morphe. It's the M410 brush. You can use something similar to this. It could be rounded, but make sure that it's flat, and so that's easier to, you know, clean this up. So I'm gonna be taking very little amount of concealer from like this bit. I actually shape my eyebrow with the concealer and not with the pomade, so no matter what shape I want, I will do that with the concealer. Even when I do so, my stray hairs get covered up. Now, it's best if you do the upper portion with your foundation color, because the color that I use to shape my eyebrows is actually very lighter than my own skin tone. But since I'm lazy, I'm gonna do the upper portion with the same color as well. At this point, we will have a very carved out nice eyebrow with some face art going on. So I'm going to be using a rather fluffier brush. It's dense, but it's fluffy. And I'm going to use this to smudge out the edges so that it's not harsh. Now that we're done with our eyebrows, we can start with our eye makeup. So since this will be my first, I guess, video on YouTube, I thought that it would be best if I did something simple, and that way I can explain every step so that I wouldn't have to do that in the near future as much. I thought why not use a palette that is readily available and everyone has it and is just easy to use. Before starting the eye makeup, as I said, I'm gonna be using the Tarte Shape Tape as my base. If you have an eyeshadow primer, if you have the P. Louise eye base, I do not have that one, you can use that as well. Since I do not have that one, I'm gonna stick to the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer as my eye base. Just gonna lather quite some bit because I want it to be like a canvas. And the reason why I use a color that is lighter than my actual skin tone on as my eyeshadow base is because that way the eyeshadows would pop better on my eyes. I'm just using a beauty blender to blend this out. A difference in the world. I for you to take me to a deeper conversation with me. The thing about the Tarte Shape Tape is that it almost sets down by itself, so you really don't have to do much work. And I do not set this with any sort of powder. I like the sticky base for my eyeshadows. But one thing that I do is that before starting my eye makeup, I just set my eyebrows and up till here so that when I blend my transition shade, it's a little diffused in this place. I'll be using the James Charles palette. First thing that I will be doing is I'll take the shade Canvas. And this, I forgot the name of this shade. It was all written in a paper and I lost it. So I'll be using this shade at the very beginning and the white shade and highlight my brow bone area. I do not like using shimmery items as my eyebrow highlight. It just looks very unrealistic, and it's my personal preference. If you like it, you can go ahead with this. I mean with that, but I do not like that on me. Okay, so I have done the other side real quickly. I'm gonna start off with the second last shade from the second row. This is also from a non-branded brand, but Morphe has similar ones. I lost my Morphe one. I like that even better. I think it was the M16. So the slimmer the better. It works fine for me since I have a lot of area to work with, but if you have hooded eyes or if you have smaller eye space, it's best if you use something that is more slimmer. For example, you can actually even work with an angle brush to just pack it on, or something similar to this. This is extremely thin, but it's dense and it's packed, right? It's the Morphe M508. So brushes like these are helpful to pack the colors on. So if you have a lot of eye space, you can easily use pencil brushes like this, but if you have a very less space, then it's best if you use something like this or something angled like this to just place the color. This is the way I like to do my makeup. I like to pack on the eyeshadow and then blend it. Pack this on my crease. I'm not blending it or anything. I'm just packing it on the outer V and my entire crease area. Like so. It should look something like this. Now, I will always recommend to keep something like this beside you. I easily get this from Beauty Blender, but I got a cheaper one from this page called Fresh Look 21. It's a Facebook page. You can easily get this. What you can do is like instantly brush off the color. So in that way you can use this brush again and again without having to clean it with soap and water. Now, using the same brush, we're going to be taking this color from the top row. It's this very vibrant orange. Now, I'm using the same brush because I already dusted off the previous color, but if you have another pencil brush, you can just switch to that one. And with this as well, I'm going to pack it on right above the color that we placed earlier. Just pack it on, do not blend it, just pack on. See, it can be messy, it's fine, do not worry about it. Now I'm going to clean that off again. Using my e.l.f. crease blending brush, it's very thin as you can see. I'm going to be taking the color right next to the vibrant orange, which is this orange right here. I'm gonna dust off the excess, and then I'm gonna blend with this one. Using very light-handed strokes, I'm going to blend this. Now, the thing with this brush is that the e.l.f. brushes aren't really fluffy and fine. They're a little coarse, like the tips are a little coarse, which I find is excellent when it comes to blending, because since they're harsh, they can easily blend even when you are using very little strokes. Don't worry if the shade falls. Also going to be using a little bit of the yellow shade from the same palette to make it more vibrant. I feel like yellow makes everything so nice. I'm going to switch to another blender. This is also a slim blending brush and it's by Morphe. It's the Morphe 506 brush. And I'm just going to soften. I'm not going to use any extra eyeshadow in this brush. I'm just going to soften the edges. This one is fluffier and more smoother compared to the e.l.f. one. You can go back to the previous blending brush. I'm just going to be brushing the excess powder so that I do not make a blunder. And then I'm going to blend the colors that were inside. You can see that you can still see that a little bit of blending is required for the darker color. So I'm just going to go in between. And I'm going to take a little amount of the deeper orange and blend it with the darker brown. At the very last, I like to take a normal blending brush, the ones that we are used to with seeing in every tutorial, and just blend around the edges. What I do is I take a little bit of micellar water in my cotton bud, remove the concealer from this portion because I'm going to be cleaning up this portion with my concealer again as well. If I put it on top of the concealer, it's just gonna look cakey. So I remove the one that I've put on earlier. You can also cut your crease with this. Man, my dark circles are like so dark that almost looks like I have eyeshadow in my eyes. Once that is done, after that is done, I am going to go back to the concealer that we used, our tart shape tape, and a flat brush to cut the crease. I'm going to take a flat shading brush, and this is also from Morphe. This is the M124 brush. First, I'm going to be using 3 shimmers. I'm going to be taking this shade from the second row. I'm going to place this at the very end, right at the V. V. Do you guys watch BTS? I'm in love with Taehyung, that is V. For the longest period of time, I didn't even know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to be using this color. This color was a little bit off-putting. It didn't show up much on the eyelids. See, it's barely there. I don't like this. I think I'm just gonna mix the red with this and try and see if it looks better or not. I'm gonna use my hands for this. Oh my god, that's dark. Yeah, using the red definitely gives off what I want, but it's too much, so I'm gonna tone it down with that color. Now the very last color, the third shade from the top row. looks kind of funky compared to the other eye, to be very honest. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing the eyeliner now. Ugh, this is going to be stressful. Oh, so I'm using the Maybelline eyeliner. The Maybelline Master Ink eyeliner for this. I'm just gonna keep the shot right now. Guys, I'm sorry, but I don't have any tips for putting eyeliner. I just wing it somehow. I'm getting sweaty. This is hard. I think this is good enough. I do not want to F this up. I'll be using the Maybelline Volume Express Easy Wash Mascara. Now that I look a little funny with just eye makeup, this is why I do not do my base makeup first, because I don't want fallouts to ruin my base. So for the base, obviously the first step is to moisturize. I know a lot of videos skip the moisturizing period because everyone knows how obvious it is to use a moisturizer. But since this is my first video, I'll obviously be putting this up because it's key. Make sure that you're using moisturizer. Using the moisturizer by Simple. It's quite simple. Almost out. Be using. My skin is very dry. My skin becomes too dry during spring and summer. Like the beginning of summer. I don't like the entire spring period. Okay, so if you're not in a rush, make sure that you let your moisturizer soak into your face for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And then move on to your primer, and the same goes for your primer. Make sure that you're letting it soak for a while if you want a good base. If you're in a rush, there's nothing much that you can do other than rubbing it in very nicely. I do not have coronavirus. It's just the AC and the weather change. It's really scary. Like now, even if someone sneezes or coughs a little, everyone's like, stay away. And yeah, you should stay away, but you have to consider the other possible cases. For example, seasonal change, and not jump to the conclusion that you have coronavirus and put everyone into this panic. I'm gonna be taking off my makeup as soon as I'm done with this video, so I'm just gonna jump right into primer, and I'm gonna be using the Master Prime. Considering that this is a Baishakh tutorial, I'm going to do it in a sense that I am actually getting ready to go out. And we all know that it's extremely hot during Baishakh, and we are really conscious about our makeup melting off. Now, my theory is to always wear something that is emollient even after you put it on. and here's why. I have used Estee Lauder and all the other foundation that sets immediately. The problem with those foundations, this is for me, it might not be the same for everyone, but this happened to me, is that due to the temperature, which is too high in our country, we're gonna sweat and our makeup is gonna look a little funny even if we use the most long-lasting foundation. So when I use the Estee Lauder foundation or a foundation which is matte, and I go back, I usually carry my beauty blender. When I go back with my beauty blender to blot those places, the makeup comes off. So the only way to fix it is to layer powder foundation on top of it, and as you put it on your face, it looks cakey. It starts to become cakey as you go. So for me, I thought it'd be best if I used a more emollient foundation, because it's not going to set, but you will be at least able to move the foundation with your beauty blender as the day progresses. Because I know majority of us carry a beauty blender no matter what the occasion is. I at least carry a beauty blender with me, even if it's a indoor event or an outdoor event. I always carry my beauty blender with me. So I'm gonna be using the LA Girl foundation in the shade Warm Beige. So I'm shake it up. Let's do a fancy thing. I think I dropped a little bit of foundation. Yep. Now I always like to wear very little foundation, because if you put too much, that excess foundation is going to come off and it's gonna make you look shiny and cakey. So wear as little as possible. If you need coverage, you can always spot correct instead of using too much foundation. I sometimes use foundations that are darker than my actual skin tone as well, because if I use something that's lighter, it's gonna end up looking ashy, and no matter how much bronzer I use, it still looks ashy. So it's best if I use something that is darker, because I can lighten it up with some concealer. This part is going to be really hard, because I do not know how I'll be able to reach the inside portions with my hijab on. Now that we have covered up all of our insecurities, what I do is that I wrap my beauty blender with a tissue paper and I pounce that on my face. That way the excess foundation is going to come off. You're basically taking off the foundation that would come to the surface when you would bloat it with the tissue paper. See? I learned this from Wayne Goss. I feel like he has amazing tips when it comes to makeup application. And then go back and blend it out furthermore. Okay, so I'm going to be using my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Medium as my concealer. I switch between Tan Sand and Medium. When I'm not using foundation, I wear Tan Sand, but I use Medium when I am... Okay, my memory card was full. Another tip, and that is, if you let your concealer sit for a while, you're gonna get more coverage. So you can let it sit for 30 seconds or even a minute and then blend. But if you have a concealer that's really hard to blend, if you let it sit, avoid that. Oh, there's one thing that I notice in quite a lot of Bangladeshi YouTubers comment section, and that is English to কথা বলতে পারেন না, English কেন কথা বলতেছেন, your accent is so fake, stop talking in English, এত ঢং করা লাগবে না, and whatnot. Firstly, our accent is supposed to be influenced by the accents that we have been listening to, and it's all due to the movies that we have been watching. And I believe a lot of us have grown up watching Harry Potter movies, because we will pick up a little bit of a British accent, and the same goes for American accent. For me, I can tell even if someone's talking in Jadgaya in front of me, I will pick up their accent. And about English, it's our second language, guys. It's obvious that we are gonna make mistakes, but it doesn't mean that we cannot speak in English, and it's an international language. So it's best if we use that language in a platform where we think that people from all over the world might see, because not everyone will be accustomed to our native language. So please keep the hate to yourself. Try be a little motivating, be respectful, help one another. If you are better in English than them, help them. Don't shame them, help them. Like, we already know that we're not good at it. You just don't have to remind us. Now I'm gonna set my under eyes using the Maybelline Fit Me powder. I'm in the shade 10. Quickly set it before like your concealer starts to crease. And before applying the powder, make sure that there's no creases, or else you're just gonna be setting creases. I only like to set the places that need to be set. For example, the under eye, then the nose, because I wear glasses and I need this. This is essential for me. Set the nose. Okay. Sometimes I actually skip even the nose, because I feel like if I powder my nose looks a little funny. Then whatever is left in the sponge, I use it to set this place, because I'll be using my powders such as the contour, the blush, and everything. Drag it all over the face. And there's nothing on the sponge, like leftover powder. Now that way your makeup still remains a little blendable, so when you're going back with the sponge later on, you can blend it easily. Fire. I'm jamming to BTS right now. Or if you're a BTS fan, comment down below who your bias is. I'm pretty sure কেউ comment করবে না, but I'm still hopeful. I'm just gonna finish my eye makeup. Okay, so using a very dense brush. Remember the brush that we used earlier? I mean, showed this brush that is like very small. I'm gonna be using the dark brown shade that we used at the very beginning and pack it close to our lash line. I'm just gonna repeat what we did with the matte colors. I'm gonna use the vibrant orange to blend be slow, no rush whatsoever. Then I'm gonna be using the lighter orange and the yellow from the palette to blend it, like further blend. I'll try to use the yellow shade towards the inner portion. Looks pretty, doesn't it? Usually bolse shundo na lagteche might দিব. So then I'll use my Rimmel Scandalize. Line my lower lash line with this. Just going to, for my inner corner highlighter, we could use the highlighter that we will be using later on, but since I haven't really thought about what highlighter I'm going to be using, I'm just going to go in with this highlighting shade from the very palette. I like bringing my inner corner highlight to this bit of my eye, from this bit. Man, I really made this video as informative as I could. I'm not gonna talk much from the next ones. On the next ones, I'm sorry. So for my contour, I always use my Hoola bronzer. Now the reason why I'm not using a regular contour powder is because all of the powders that I have used look quite ashy on me, and given how the Hoola bronzer is a cool tone bronzer, it's perfect for contouring. At least it's for me. It might not work for you, but it works for me. Using the brush that it comes with, I'm going to contour. It doesn't matter if it's weird, I'm gonna blend it out later. I'm not that strict with contouring, just normally just go to Philly. I round up my cheek a little. I'm gonna be using my Milani Baked Bronzer in number 5. It's also called Soleil. I'm not pretty sure about the pronunciation. Now using a Real Techniques brush, I'm gonna apply this and also blend in the contour. This bronzer is shimmery, so it's gonna give you that glow, the summer glow. I also take it to my temples. Oh, I totally forgot my nose contour. I take my nose contour pretty seriously. Using the same bronzer, the Hoola bronzer that we use for our contour, I'm gonna take an angled brush. Create a shadow. Drag it towards the eyes as well, because that's what's naturally supposed to be. I just make my nose a bit slimmer, and then I take a little bit and I put it here, just around these places. Nose transformation. We're not done yet. You can see it looks funny from this side. Taking a beauty blender, I take the powder and I put it on both sides. I'm gonna let that sit for a while. I feel like using something from the palette to match with the eyes, and I honestly can't find my blush palette. I think my sister took it, so I'm stuck with like 3 blushes. Should we use the bright orange? We could try. Let's try using the bright orange as our blush. I hope this isn't a disaster. That barely showed up. There was this time. Oh, it's showing up. Oh god, I went a little heavy-handed with this. Okay, so I forgot where I left off. My battery died, so I had to take a break since I do not have an extra battery. This is a new camera. I had batteries from my old one. I think I was applying blush. I think it's alright. I like a little bit of blush on myself. The highlighter that we will be using today is, I think since we use this highlighter from the eyeshadow palette, I can actually use this as my face highlight as well. I was thinking of using the Wet n Wild one, but since I already applied it on my inner corners, it's best if I apply it on my cheekbones as well. So taking the highlighter shade from the James Charles palette, I'm going to be applying it on my... Ooh, this is pretty. I honestly do not like highlighters as much because they seem unrealistic to me. But I like this glow. I just have to check if it's... Oh, no. It doesn't emphasize my texture. Can you see? My skin looks so smooth. It is smooth. Mashallah. Please say mashallah, please. Every time someone compliments my skin, it breaks out. I don't want to break out during quarantine. So for lipstick, I'm confused what lipstick I should be wearing. I am just gonna quickly give a splash of setting spray. This is the Scandinavia one. By far, this is the best that I've used, and it's also acknowledged among many beauty gurus outside that this is one of the best setting sprays out there. So I'm going to be using the Scandinavia one. I honestly should have skipped this part because this is like a total wastage. I'm gonna select my lipsticks and be right back. Hello. So I have a habit of mixing my lipstick. So this is how we are looking. I'm gonna quickly change to a better, more Baishakh outfit and be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alrighty, I am dressed. I'm doing this series where I am layering things with my father's clothes. That is, I am wearing my father's Punjabi right now with this orna, kaftan orna that I had. Put on my hijab, put a deep, and I'll just be putting my earrings. I get a lot of questions how I put these. I just take this is just the kapur, the fabric. I just put it inside the fabric. I take it out of the fabric. I do not put it. That's my baby's hand. Ajba, Ajba, Ajba. He's back. Mubucho. Camera bit. That's what he does. No, 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 please, 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 please. Yep, I'm done, sis. Done getting ready. I think that's done. We're done with this makeup finally. I hope this wasn't a really long video. Even if it was, I'm sorry, and I hope that you could bear with me. And I hope that the things that the information that I have said was informative. And if you like this look, please comment down below your thoughts, and if you want to recreate this, please do and share your pictures. I will list all my social media handles in the description box below. That is what everyone says, so so I'm gonna do the same. And yeah, do drop down your constructive criticism, and please don't be hateful or disrespectful. Please bear in mind that we are all humans, and mean things do get to us, and we all aren't born with thick skins. So, and we aren't robots. It's gonna get to us, we're gonna feel bad, and sometimes it happens to hit the most extreme scenario. And right now the world is already going through so much, and it doesn't need your hate. So be kind, stay home, stay safe, be loving, be creative, do what you like, let other people do what they like. Yeah, that's about it. And like everyone says, do put a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe, because I'm new here and I would need some help. Yeah, with that being said, thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.